Hi class, this is the second to the last audio PowerPoint presentation. We'll be covering an interesting topic for Chapter 11, Social Networks, Auctions, and Portals. Typically on the third slide I'd tell you what the first half of our seminar assessment is going to be, but I just wanted to say I do have good news. The end is near. You guys are almost done, and I'm sure you're all excited about that. I know I am. So this will be the first half of your seminar assessment, and I'm just going to take some of the slides right out of the PowerPoint because I think they're pretty good for what we're looking to cover in this chapter. And the answer to this particular question should be a good indice or indicator of your grasp of most of the elements covered in this particular chapter. So how is the growth, just answer these four questions in the first half of the seminar assessment. How has the growth of social networks enabled the creation of more specific niche sites? What are some examples of social network sites with a financial or business focus? I'll talk about that a little bit. Describe some common features and activities on these social network sites and what features of social networks best explain their popularity. So in this chapter, we look at three different kinds of social media marketing, our business applications, social networks, auction sites, and portals. We've covered some of this already from different vantage points. So in some cases, some of this is review. But we are covering some information at the same time that you're all familiar with, I think, as users. As far as social media is concerned, sites, there are four primary ones that account for almost 90% of all social network community usage in this country. That's Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Pinterest. I read something recently that said if Twitter is a cocktail party, then LinkedIn is the business meeting, and Facebook is the street party. And there wasn't any categorization of Pinterest, but I think you're familiar with most all of them. They all have different views for businesses that are looking to tap into marketing values for social media websites. Real quickly, we're going to be talking about portals, but it's just worth noting that that social network websites and portals are becoming, in many cases, very similar or one and the same. That people are accessing the net directly through, say, Facebook or other such social networking sites. The same is true for blogs, which really I think fall into the portal and social network categories collectively. And same thing, sites like the Huntington Post not only have a social networking dimension, but they're becoming the primary site through which people access the web on a daily basis. Again, I had mentioned I think that social networks account for 90% of the top ones. Those top four account for about 90% of all social networking activities, but that's in this country because there are active similar sites in other countries. So on a global scale, I don't believe that's the case. It's interesting that the book notes that more than 50% of Facebook users are now over 35. That wasn't the case just a couple of years ago. And it's worth noting how that number, that age demographic distribution has come to be, and it's really because of the lack of use in other age groups. I think who just maxed out on usage and have found other ways to communicate with one another. In other words, it's easy to say that for certain age groups, the younger age groups, it was in fact, or appears to have been, a bit of a fad, and the usage growth in Facebook in particular, and some of the other sites, are by older age groups. So when you're considering those 4 sites that we looked at earlier that account for so much of the social media, it's reasonable for a business to ask, where am I going to put my emphasis as far as advertising dollars and marketing efforts to promote my business? And the answer starts, I think, with saying or determining which of those sites do you believe have the best fit for your particular company business. If you're recruiting for your business, for example, then, or you do recruiting as a consultant for other businesses, then LinkedIn is going to be extremely applicable. On the other hand, if you have a general commercial product like detergent, then Facebook probably will offer greater value. So the first thing to determine is which of these am I going to emphasize, and then secondarily to that is what percent of my time and dollars and effort am I going to put into each one. From that, you should prepare a detailed 6-month schedule of activities by site. And my recommendation would be to keep your content simple, both the amount and length and frequency. The amount and length of the content that you have in the sites, the frequency with which you change that information, and so forth. Keep it simple. Know the stats by site. What does that mean? Well, if you're going to put efforts into multiple sites like Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or others, you want to make sure that you have metrics set up by which you can measure the activity and the return on investment that you get from each one. So know where your traffic is coming from, and what kind of traffic is what that traffic is actually interested in. Look for people with advocates within your organization that can help you in maintaining these sites and the content for each sites. They don't have to be marketing people. They can just be people that have an interest in, like Facebook, and they can help you change content, change photos, that sort of thing, to keep it refreshed, because they do take some time. So it's good to know who within the organization is the best fit to help you maintain it. And then finally, I'd say you want to focus, when you do your schedule, try to focus for 30 days on a particular media of your choice, like Facebook or Twitter, rather than, again, dilute yourself too much in the beginning. You want to get each of them up and running until their benefit is really maximized for your company. And then again, be able to determine where your traffic is coming from, like videos they like the best, which ads or offers are giving you the best return. And then this last item, I've just posted a TED-Ed video that is a really good window on the future of social media marketing that I thought you might be interested in. Online auctions, you're familiar with all the major ones. I'm sure, like Amazon, eBay, you've used those. Those are customer to customer. One of them is customer to customer, and I would offer that one of them is business to customer. And then there are business to business sites or business to customer sites if the customer are other businesses. And the one I've noted in a discussion post response to Jeff was this Intercontinental Commodities Exchange. It's a really good one to look at because it gives you some idea of just how much commerce is going on from business to business or business to consumer on levels that we don't necessarily see. It's a very interesting site. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. And then finally, we have the portals, and the common portals are Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, MSN, and I happen to use MSN as my portal. That's my home page as I log on every day. But I would note again that there are blogs. There are just a number of different portals that are available out there. Your portal could be whichever site you choose to go to in the morning, and then, or not in the morning, during the day, and access the web, and then sort of take it from there in your searches. So that's fundamentally what a portal is, and they have different revenue models. MSN gets theirs from advertising, and Google gets a lot of theirs from pop-up ads. But ones like New York Times or Huffington Post, Huffington Post gets them from advertising, but New York Times and Forbes and those sorts of ones make it through a combination of advertising and subscriptions. So that's all I have for the chapter, and I'll be looking forward to seeing your responses to this particular session in your papers.